Today class we are going to see the most important topic in unit 3, that is a bone structure and composition. So these are the learning objectives that we are going to cover in today's section. So first we will start with what is the basic structure of the bone and its a composition, and also we will interlink with the mechanical properties of each and every components of the bones. How does it involve or what is the influence of each and every components in terms of assessing the strength, stiffness and viscosity behavior of the bone. So, and also how it is going to help these mechanical properties or understanding of these bone fundamentals in terms of clinical knowledge, where it's going to help this particular understanding of bone composition and structure. So let's have the discussion. That is, now we will move on to the introduction of the topic. What is mean by the bones, and why it is very important that one need to understand what is the structure and composition each and every bone. And we people, we most to we will be get to know the most of the things the related to the bone disorders, we maybe wonder when there is nothing will happen when we were in normal condition, especially in the bone. The same bone gets fail or it's get break when someone met with accident, or have when they have a very stress on particular point. So what actually is happening over there? So for simple sort of stress like walking, is nothing is happening, whereas if you're giving the stress to the some point, to the some extent, the fracture is happening, the breaking is happening. So what actually the mechanical properties of the bone, how the each and every components of the bone structure inside the bone, it's contributing their properties in the place where it need to give strength, in the place where it gets to break. That is the need that we have to study what is the bone structure. So first we will explore, that is we get to know what are the different types of bones and bone anatomy, right? So we have majorly, if you see, there are four basic bones, that is the long bones, short bones and flat bones. And finally we have irregular bones. So these are the bones which is made up of all over body. The long bones that you can see in femur and humerus and also in tibia, this particular bones is mainly focused on movement, that is 80 percentage of your skeleton bone is being covered by these such long bones. And also it helps in motion also, that is a movement and motion, and also to give more stability to our body. And short bones like corpals and dorsals, these particular bones, it highly gives the importance in terms of giving stability. And flat bones like skull, ribs and sternum, and these particular bones which helps to protect the internal organs. If you see the sternum, it will protect the ribs and sternum, it will protect your hearts and lungs, right? And also the skull, it will protect your internal brain. So these bones mainly focused on protecting the internal organs. And if you see the irregular bones like vertebrae, pelvis, it actually giving your body stability, and also giving some sort of complex shapes and size of your bones, but it is having the equivalent importance like other bones in terms of movement, rotations, and even you can see to have a proper direction of your body. Okay, so to have a very good load bearing capability or capacity. So these are the different types of bones. So why these types is very important in the sense, these particular bone types determines mechanical properties, and each and every bones have a different functional role in the skeletons. So all these bones have its unique mechanical properties. All the, it doesn't have or it doesn't exhibit the same kind of properties. That is the main beauty of this bone. So we have two different compositions. If you look on into the bone composition, so now we slowly move on to the structure of the bones. If you see the composition, you have a two types of composition. So what is mean by composition? In the sense, the bone is a something that is made up of more than one component. So that is the meaning we have the word called compositions here. The two main thing is being involved. One is inorganic, another one is organic. So in inorganic components, which accounts like 65 percentage mainly made up of the material called hydroxyapatite. We can also call as a mineral crystals, whereas the organic component which accounts for 35 percentage, which is made up of collagen, proteins, and waters. So these combination like a hybrid material like inorganic and organic, which giving the bones literally to have a very good toughness, and also it strength with little flexibility, because it has a collagen to offers a flexibility, and it also have inorganic components like hydroxyapatite to give the strength, okay, to give the hardness for the bones. This is the natural beauty of the bone compositions, which offers both strength and also the flexibility. So now let's move on to the macroscopic and microscopic level of bone structure. So first we will look into the macroscopic. So I here the bone is being divided into three types. One is diaphysis, epiphysis, and metaphysis. So diaphysis, if you see, that is the shaft of the lung bone, mainly the compact bone. You can see over there, which is being surrounded by medullary cavity, and epiphysis, that is the either ends of the bone. You can see the bone compositions like spongy bone. We can also call it as a cancellous bones, because these particular bones will helps in stress distribution or pressure distributions, and mainly it helps in shock absorber. So that is the epiphysis. And metaphysis, that is something you can see in between the diaphysis and the epiphysis. That is where you can see the growth plate, where the most of the osteocytes, that is the bone cells, you can see for bone growth, for developing the bone. So these are the three major types that you can see in macroscopic structure, that is diaphysis, epiphysis, and metaphysis. So then, Mike, and not only this, and you have a membranes apart from these three types, that is periosteum and endosteum. So periosteum is the outer layer of the bone, and endosteum is the inner layer of the bone. Why the structure is very important in the sense it will determine the both mechanical function properties and also the growth potential. Now let's move on to the macroscopic level of bone structure. So if you see inside the bone, you can see osteons, that is the basic unit cell of your bones. That you, in other words, you can also call it as a Harvestian system. So this is the system which having or contains the more canals, where you can see the blood vessels and the nerves for the supplements for the bones, and also you can see most of the structure, internal structure, which is beautifully arranged, so many rings like structure. There you can have a different parts like lamellae, lacunae, and caniculi. So that you can see in each and every osteons. So the bone is made up of so many osteons. The each osteons, if you look into deep, you can see the ring-like structure. So these ring-like structure or the layers, you can see, you can call it as a lamella, that is made up of collagen fibers and mineral crystals. And in the space between these layers, the lamella layers, where that space is called lacuna, which contains the cells called osteocytes, and also have so many connecting channels to connect these space into the cells, that is cells, bone cells. So that is called canaliculi. So these are the innermost structure of the osteons. So the macroscopic structure, here the bone is being divided into three main subdivision: epiphysis, diaphysis, and metaphysis. In addition to that, basically the bones is have a two parts. One is compact bone and spongy bone. The compact bone, the shaft of the bone is it is mainly responsible for strength, and the spongiform is mainly responsible for load bearing capacity. It's mainly account for stress distribution. So these are the two things will determine the mechanical properties of the bones whenever we give any sort of stress. And if you see the microscopic level, we will see the basic building point or building unit of your bone, that is the osteons. In depth, if you see the osteons, you have so many layers or concentric layers, that is called lamellae. The space between these layers called lacuna, and finally we have a canale. So these are the like different level of structures you can see in bones. And then we have a bone cells. This is very very important because these are the cells which is responsible for to have formation of the bones or resorption of the bones to maintain the bone formation. For with the cells are called osteoblast, osteoclast, and osteocytes. So osteoblast, you can see the bone forming cells. Osteoclast for bone resorbing cells, and osteocytes is the matured bone cell which is may actually maintain the bone formation and bone resorption, because these are the things which is very much important in case of bone remodeling. Okay, bone remodeling, that is actually this is a balance between the bone formation and bone resorption, because this is very very important. Because whenever you apply the load in response to that, the bone has to be remodeled. Okay, in terms of bone formation or in terms of bone adaptation, like changing their size or something. So these are the things which is very much important in the in order in terms of in terms of adapting their structure in response to the stress. So this is the actual thing of a whole today class section, that is we have discussed like what has been my bone and why it is very important we have to be studied, especially in biomechanics. What is actually the structure is made up of, and how the mechanical properties of each structure is it's being involved. Yes, thank you.